Hi, I'm Christopher Schedler. I'm a professor and chair of the English department. I'm going to be talking about my project to develop an inclusive learning assessment or survey. Well, during the pandemic and our shift to remote learning, we all got a sense of some of the inequities that students face in terms of their learning and educational technologies. There's an opportunity for all of us within our classrooms, whether in person or online, to be creating an inclusive learning environment. And now, of course, with CW's new vision to be a community of equitable learning and belonging, this is more important than ever. As I was looking for principles and best practices of inclusive learning, I found that there were quite a few institutions that provided them. Stanford is one, University of Michigan, but I didn't find any assessments that would actually be able to tell an instructor from a student perspective whether they had created an inclusive learning environment for those students. So I decided to create one myself. I looked through the principles and best practices and refined them and developed a 10-question survey that I can give my students at the end of the class to determine whether they felt my teaching practices were inclusive, if there were areas that I should work on to improve in future classes. I actually had piloted this survey through our Center for Teaching in Excellence. I had some of the faculty fellows in the center administer it in their classes too, because I wanted to see how it worked in different disciplines. So that gave me some feedback about tailoring it in certain ways for different disciplines. I've also been just administering it in my classes each quarter, and you can see an example of one of the results from one of my classes. One of the areas that students felt I could improve was providing course content in a range of ways. Like it might be your lecture notes, it might be a recorded lecture with captions so students can get the materials in a variety of different ways. Because I teach multicultural literature, American Indian literature, Latino literature, we always bring in diverse perspectives in terms of the content of the literature, and I think that's one of the things that they really appreciate. That's not always as easy depending on your discipline that you're in. Providing a variety of different voices, maybe they're coming from you, maybe they're coming from other experts in the field, not just in your readings but also in the examples that you use. Asking students to share their own lived experiences is a way to bring those diverse perspectives in as well. Students who have difficulties during the class, during a quarter, whether it's family or personal, mental health or physical health, that you can provide some flexibility in terms of attendance, in terms of deadlines, and that you're addressing kind of the learning needs of all your students. I think that this, along with another thing that I use, which is a student experience survey at the beginning of class, where I ask students to share things about their needs as students, but also outside of their class, so that I get to know what kind of technology they have available to them, so that I know if they're working, full-time, so that I know if they're caretaking, the challenges that they may face, but also things that they bring to the class. I think the combination of a student experience survey at the beginning of class and then an inclusive learning assessment at the end of class, really for students and evaluations that I get, teaching evaluations, they really feel that they are heard and that the instructor is interested in them being successful in the class.